Alrighty, and my guest today from NC State, Team Canada, from Seattle, Washington right now anyway, it's Ace Konig. Konig, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Just fumbling my way through an intro today.
It's all good. Hey, I luckily get to have a script in front of mine when I do it a little bit so I can hit it, but I mean, I still mess up on those, so.
It was funny to watch. I watched your first video you had done, and that was still good. You'd done really well. But then I watched the last one you had done, and it was like you were having like a party. You were having so much fun. It was, you could tell you'd grown.
Yeah, definitely got the nerves off. Like the first one is always like, I chose to do one of my close friends for the first one, and she was really trying to help me, but like it was just a fumble through all of it. I think I sweated through my shirt, but you know, it gets easier with time. So,
Do you have fun with it now? Is it something you look forward to doing?
I do, and it's about to be my last episode this next week, and it was so much fun being able to catch up with everybody and show kind of Wolfpack Nation what the girls are like as people, because it's really easy to celebrate us on the court because we're shooting, but to know us as people I think is really important too. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to be kind of the segue between those two things.
And how involved are you in this? Are you like writing the questions? Are you doing all the pre-prep?
So it was my brainchild that I was really bored at home and missing NC State. So I messaged our media coordinator and I was like, hey, I really want to do this. I think it would be a good way to keep the fans engaged. And she just said, okay, let's go. It's your show. So I choose the guests. I pick the questions, I prep the people, and the media team makes sure that all the filming goes well and the editing, all of that, because I am awful when it comes to editing and everything. But other than that, yeah, they are a wonderful team. They make it so easy, and it's just a lot of fun every week.
What is your most proud moment? Is there like a time where you thought up a question on the spot and you hit it really well, or you got a really good response from something?
I mean, there's not really a key moment that I can think of when it comes to that, but just as I get better and it becomes more conversational, and one of the big things that I pride myself on is that afterwards, especially for the freshmen who haven't had that like exposure to media as much yet, when they say, you know what, I was scared, but that was really easy. You made that fun. And that's kind of like a pride moment for me because that was my goal. I want to have a conversation with them. So I'm glad I'm getting better at it, and I'm sad it has to end, but you know, everybody has to start getting back. They have finals coming up. I'm heading to Switzerland. So it'd be kind of difficult to keep it going.
We need to get you set up with a little recorder and a microphone. We just need a podcast to follow your journey.
Just get one of those like button cams and I'll just like wear it all day long.
They're just 24/7 live stream. See how I work. Since you mentioned it, let's talk about it. Going to Switzerland. That might be news to a lot of people. Tell us how that happened.
So obviously was hoping to make it to the WNBA, sat through that whole thing, wanting my name to be called, and unfortunately it wasn't. And in the moment that sucks really bad. I mean, that's something you've been working for your entire life, and kind of having that dream not die, but change a little bit. And, you know, it took a moment to be sad about it, to reposition my mindset a little bit, and then got in touch with my agent and started figuring out what the next step was. And the next step to getting back to the WNBA next year is to put me in a really good position overseas on a team that needs me, that allows me to grow as a player and showcase my skills. And that team ended up being Elfic Freiburg in Switzerland. They are the top team in Switzerland. They play in Euro Cup. So I would be playing point guard there, which is my preferred position. And it was just a really great fit. And I think it's the best next step to get back to where I want to be for next year.
And you mentioned something that, of course, I have to bring up, you know, the WNBA, you wanting that. So I think about it as you've been kind of working your whole life towards a dream. Yep. And you had to face reality, even though you're a baller. Like you've faced so much success, you've earned so much success. And that feeling, I talk about it a lot on here, of even making a basket when you're alone on a basketball, you know, court. really great feeling. You get some confidence from that. So I can only imagine what doing it on your level has given you. But then being faced with another challenge, I don't want to call it like a reality, but just like something like that. In the moment, what were your feelings? How did you react the next day? And how did it evolve to your feelings now?
So I've always kind of been an underdog. It seems weird to say that because I played on a great AU team. I played on a perennial high school basketball team. I went to NC State, but in the grand scheme of things, I am from Canada. And though my basketball team in Canada is considered one of the best ever to have played together, still not the same level as some of the 4A schools in the US. Again, playing on a Canadian AAU team, didn't do EYBL, wasn't able to be in a McDonald's All-American, where the girls I was competing against, Sabrina and INSQ, that whole group, the ones I was going up against were getting those nominations. So kind of that preps you a little bit. Then I chose to go to NC State, and NC State now is a powerhouse. I mean, they've been a powerhouse in the past, but the Coach Moore was coming into his own, and I chose to go there because I wanted to build a legacy. And again, a little bit of an underdog. When you think of North Carolina basketball, unfortunately, NC State wasn't what you thought of. Now it is, and that's something I'm so excited to be a part of. But going into the draft, especially not having the NCAA tournament, kind of me and my agent had a realistic conversation. He goes, it's about 50-50 chance either way. There's a 50% chance somebody wants you and is going to take a chance on you. And there's a 50% chance you don't hear your name called. So he's like, I'm going to be working on it the whole time, and we're just going to have to see what happens. And, you get through the first round and you're like, okay, well, it was the first round. It's okay. Then you get through the second round and then suddenly you go, oh, well, we have one more round left. And then you come to the last round and the picks are getting smaller and you realize these are teams that don't need guards. They, are going to probably go for bigger players. And it ends and you're sitting there, and it was kind of silent in my house. I was sitting with my mom and my dad and my sister. And we were all just kind of sitting there quiet. My parents didn't really know what to say to me. My sister started crying. And then my dad broke it, came and gave me a hug. My mom came and gave me a hug. And I was keeping it together really well. I knew that there was a chance I didn't do it, but something inside you was always like, it's going to happen, And kept it together. And then I was like, you know what, I need to go for a walk. And I put on my shoes and went out in the cloudy Seattle weather and went on my walk, and I started to cry. And in due fashion of Seattle weather, it started to rain. And I'm out there in the rain in my little movie scene moment. And I give myself about 10 minutes to really feel it. And then I was like, you know what? It's no use worrying about it now. What's the next step? And from that moment on, it's been, where do we go from here? How do we improve? How do we get back to this position next year with a different result? And really, it was just a split second of okay, now it's time to reposition. And it's been like that since. So luckily, I was able to keep that kind of enthusiasm going.
That's a obviously super tough situation, but the maturity to be able to, I think, let it out, let the emotions come out because, they're happening, whether you want them to or not, and to be able to let them out in that moment and then move on in such a short span is huge. And I think shows perseverance, maturity, all of that. What prepared you for that moment?
I think it has a lot to do with just the way my parents raised me. It was very much nothing is impossible. Nothing is out of reach. You just have to work for it. So my whole career has been, as long as you work for it and you keep working at it, it's going to work out for you. So being able to I have great confidence in myself that they instilled in me at a very young age, and confidence in my game and who I am as a player. So it's just another setback. And, you have to move on and keep going. And if it matters, you'll keep working for it. And if it doesn't, you let it go. But, I'm still trying to get back to the WNBA, and they're playing their first games now, and they're all watching it upstairs. And it's just lighting a fire.
Mentioned for being from Canada, Vancouver. Is that right? Vancouver,
yes.
BC. Describe to me what the basketball scene was like there growing up.
Well, I was super lucky. I grew up around basketball. It's like in my DNA. Every memory from my childhood has some type of like basketball in it. My parents both played Division II. My aunts played Division I. On my mom's side, my mom's brother played at UFV, Fraser Valley in like the Vancouver Lower Mainland area, and my grandfather still plays. So like all of my memories are just like encased in basketball. So I was really lucky. But when we take a look at basketball as a whole, I mean, it's definitely coming up. Canadian basketball, I mean, you see it now. There's Canadians all over the NCAA, in the NBA, in the WNBA. So it's definitely growing. I would say that the support overall from the culture is not nearly the same. There's not that same oomph behind high school basketball, of those things, but it's definitely getting better and better every year. And I haven't been back as much as I want to, but I think that it's something that people are beginning to love on close to the same level as the US. And I can't wait to see how it continues through these next couple of years.
That's one of the things that I was really interested in when visiting Chris Hansen's camp, was to see the level of kind of what's going on real in the trenches with women's basketball, and seeing that the people that have made it and, have retired are still, professionals that are giving back. And so that's accelerating the growth of the game, I think. And the more people like you growing up and giving back, I think that will only help more. Is that how you see it? Does that inspire you to want to give back and to go rep your hometown and grow that thing?
Of course. I mean, I think I still get messages from girls in Canada and parents and everything asking me to give advice to their kids to do all these things. And I think especially that year the year before my graduation in high school, my year and the year after had a lot of girls from that time that played with me and my AU team and all that ended up going to Division I and NCAA. So I think that was like a really big moment for women's basketball, especially in Canada, because it was like all of these people now see that it is possible, and being able to go back and continue to inspire those kids to follow those dreams, to not give up on it so easily and so quickly because it seems difficult, is something that is probably the most exciting part of being an athlete and using that platform, is being able to inspire the next generation.
That's amazing. Taking it back, I had forgot a question when you were talking about, the WNBA draft and everything. You have a lot of success and you obviously show you're a great player, but, you face this adversity, and a lot of people could want to reevaluate everything, change everything they've been doing. Did you react like that? Did you know that, this is just a stay the course kind of thing?
I mean, there's definitely that moment you're like, well, what could have been? What should I have done? Where did I go wrong? All of these things. And it's super easy to get caught in that cyclical thought process of what shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Mm-hmm. And that's something that definitely in that moment where I made that split decision, I decided that's in the past. There's nothing you can do. You need to let it go and move on. And I think that had I not done that, it would have been really difficult to get back on the horse and get going. So I definitely had moments like that where I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like, well, I should have worked out more, or I should have posted more on social media, or I should have done fancier things when I played and did this or that. And that's not anything I can control. I can't go back and change that. I can't change people's impressions of me from then, but I can do it now. So it was more so of, I'm not going to change things, but I don't ever want to feel that regret again. So I have to do all those things that I'm regretting in this moment. I have to do now, and it's going to be crappy. I'm going to run 4 miles every day and it's going to suck. And I'm going to play basketball in this blazing heat and have terrible tan lines and all those things that you don't necessarily want and shouldn't hold you back, but they do. And, just sitting down with myself and being like, you have to decide whether or not this is worth it to you. And ultimately it is. So it's kind of staying the course and also demanding more of myself at the same time.
How do you think your relationship with basketball has evolved over your lifetime from just having fun in the beginning, no thoughts of anything else to, this is every day. This is what you probably wake up thinking about in a way, what you're going to plan your day around, how you're going to attack the day, how you're going to make your dream come true here with the WNBA, how you're going to make Switzerland great?
Well, it's definitely evolved from more of this is my job to this is my lifestyle. I think that in order to maintain success, and when you look at players who are in the NBA and the WNBA and have been there for a very long time, it's not something they do, it's their life. So, the workouts are non-negotiables. They're as simple as eating breakfast in the morning. I have to go for my run. I have to get this workout in. It's the same type of idea as brushing your teeth. Like, it's just something you have to do. It's part of your life. You do it and it's your lifestyle. And definitely when I was younger, it was more of a chore. It was like, oh, I have to do this. My dad doesn't yell at me, or, I'm just gonna, not go as hard as I can, but get it done. And now it's definitely become something that, is just second nature and is something I do because I want to do it, as opposed to that's just what I'm expected to do.
And for athletes that were in the position you were in when you were younger, treating it as a chore, how did you evolve it? How did your relationship change with it? Was there like a breaking point, or was it just maturity?
There was definitely a breaking point. There was a really emotional moment in my sophomore year, and I wasn't playing very well. I wasn't scoring as much as I'm capable of. I had just come off an injury. Me and the team as a whole just weren't clicking the way we usually did. And I was in the gym, and I was sitting under the basket, and I started crying, and I was like, I should just quit because I'm not enjoying it. I'm not having fun. Basketball has taken so much from me. I didn't walk in my high school graduation. I didn't have all of these moments. I never wore a cap and gown. I didn't go to dances. I didn't do all these things. I missed out on all of the stuff my friends were doing. And I had a friend there with me, and he goes, you're talking about all the things it's taken. You're talking about how it's, hurt your relationship with your family, how it's put strain on all of these things in your life. But not once have you even, what did it give to you? Why are you doing this? Why does it still matter to you? Why are you sitting here crying? Why don't you just go home? And it was like an epiphany moment that I was like, I am caught in this negative cycle where I just am thinking about the things I'm missing out on as opposed to the things that I'm getting. I've traveled all over the world. I think last summer I hit 6 countries, and 4 of them were for basketball. And I've won medals in amazing places. I've met great people. I am in a position where I am going into the world out of college without debt. And that's not a lot of things that people get to say and they take for granted. So and it was like, well, it put a strain on your family life, but it also brought you and your family closer. So, it was a moment of breakdown of why am I actually doing this? Why does this matter to me? And realizing, it stopped being something that I am doing just because I have to do it a long time ago. And I was caught feeling that way when it wasn't the truth. And luckily, my friend was there to help me through that. I don't think it would have been the same process without him. Wouldn't have been so simple. But from that moment on, it became something, you know, I was excited to go into it. I was grateful for everything. And I think that's something that I really needed to happen for that mindset to change.
And I can feel the passion behind that. That is real. That's a real moment. That's a real friend to tell you that too.
Yes. I was very lucky that he was there.
Yeah. Shout out to him. One thing I always, when I read it on your Instagram profile that you were vegan, it always makes me think of a couple things here. So my wife is vegan and she always will make snacks, like really great baked goods, and never tell anybody they're vegan until afterwards. That's her thing. She's like, oh, they're really good. And then I was just I was listening to an interview with Jamal Crawford about his diet and that kind of like evolving his career once his wife kind of stepped in and was like, hey, no more fast food, no more Capri Sun, no more this and that. Why did you go vegan? Was it a basketball thing? Was it a lifestyle thing?
It was really to get more out of my body. I was a 21-year-old girl, a woman who was coming out of basketball games where I was playing 40 minutes and I wasn't able to walk. Like I was so gingerly, like walking, all of my joints was hurting my knees for some reason. If you look back, there's a big segment of my pictures and games where I have a leg sleeve on. We had no idea what was causing the pain. It was just painful, like hurt to walk, my ankles, all of it. And I was like, I feel terrible. I feel so bad. Like, why is my body? I haven't changed anything. I'm used to playing these types of minutes. I need to understand why my body is trying to hold me back right now. And I was in class and an article popped up on my email or something. I was on a newsletter and it was talking about vegan diet and athletic performance. And I should have been paying attention to the lecture, but instead I opened up this article and I was reading it. And it was talking about how eliminating animal products was reducing inflammation in the joints, where people were able to recover faster, were able to perform for a longer period of time. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I need to do this because I can't function. I was already a pescatarian. I was already cutting all those things out because I was trying to trim weight and maintain a healthier weight. It's difficult in North Carolina when you come from the West Coast. I'm used to like fish and steamed vegetables, and it's barbecue and like fried food over there. So I was trying to discipline myself already, and it just wasn't getting the same result. So I switched, and I haven't had any pain since. So I just, I'm going to stick with it until it doesn't work. A lot of people, they see that and they go, oh, you're a vegan. Like, what does that even mean? But it was really for my athletic performance. And I've seen it improve leaps and bounds just in my like cardiovascular performance. I can run longer without getting tired. My joints don't hurt. I don't get sore anymore after workout. So it's just kind of something that I came upon by accident, and it's really changed my life.
I relate so much to that, being young and just not being able to walk after playing basketball. You're running fine, but as soon as you stop, you're limping. Oh, yeah. My wife's like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Maybe you're onto something. The inflammation here.
I know. I was like, you know what? Like, we're going to try it and see what happens. And almost like within 3 days of starting it, all of the pain and the just nagging stuff went away. All my knee pain that there was no reason, gone. Like I don't feel it anymore. So, I mean, I have no idea exactly the science. I definitely skimmed over that part a little bit in the article, but I do know the results, and it's been wonderful. And I've actually kind of converted some of my old teammates a little bit, not to the extent that I go, but they've definitely tried to like cut out a lot of their dairy and stuff. So it's really fun to see. That's
awesome. I'll have to send some recipes over. My wife's she's great, so you'll convert some more people. We talked a little bit about growing up in Vancouver, B.C. Here's a stupid American question. I'll just be 100% honest with you. I read the 3 provincial AAA titles, and I'm probably not even saying that right. Is that like a state title in Canada?
It is. And just for the record, that is not a stupid question. That's not even close to one of the most like silly questions I've got. So you're good.
Yes. Okay.
I think one time, I'm not going to name names, but somebody asked me if we had airports. So you're fine.
Where were they from?
I can't even.
Okay, we'll keep it off record.
They were in Arizona, and but I'm not sure where they were from. But no, they trust me. It's not a silly question. I get a lot of them, and that was not one of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it is. It is like a state championship for us. Yeah.
So you got 3 of those things.
I do 3 back to back, and 3 MVPs.
So back to back to back.
Yes.
And 3 MVPs.
And 1 defensive player, but I think that was...
Oh my gosh. Kawhi Leonard, sit down. She has, okay. So take me through that from like what led up to that. It's probably a lot to sum up your basketball upbringing into, what went into that. But, what was your journey like? How did you arrive at such a great accomplishment at such a young age?
So I had went to school at Prairie High School in Vancouver, Washington for a year. My freshman year, we had been in the U.S. My dad's work had put him over here for a year. And when we went back, we had a multitude of options of where to go. I mean, BC at that time was a very good basketball province. And there was a couple of different places we just had to choose where we wanted to live, and we could be in that catchment. And my dad, being super diligent, I had no part in this, just talked to a bunch of different coaches about like, what are your goals? How do you make sure the players are improving? Like all these things. And the only person that my dad talked to that told him that the gym was open whenever I wanted it to be open was Coach Neil Brown. And he goes, I wake up every single morning at 5 a.m. I come at 6. I open the gym. They work out from 6 to 7:30, and then they go to school. And he's like, and I'm the PE teacher. When you come in, you are, as an athlete, you're required to take my PE class because we do high performance PE. So you're going to be running, you're going to be lifting, you're going to do all those things. And then he goes, and then afterwards, we have practice in the evening, and I will stay later for you to get more shots up.
Wow.
And as a basketball player, that's like your dream, like having the gym open all the time. And, my dad goes, well, this is where we have to be. And some people like to say, well, Coach Brown recruited her. No, he didn't. My dad seeked him out. He definitely was the catalyst for that. And Coach Brown didn't change anything for me, didn't do anything. That was just who he was. He loved he loved basketball as a game, and he loved his players, and he wanted them to be successful. So we ended up at Brookswood. They were already had a legacy of winning provincial championships. They have always been very good. I think they had won like in the last 11 years, like 7 of them. So it was good, but they had lost the previous year, and I came in, and I came into a very talented group of, seniors who had been there, and his daughter was on the team. And I was very fortunate to be accepted into that group very quickly. And I think we only lost like twice that whole year. And then we won our first provincial championship. Then the next year comes around, and we win it again. And then the third year comes. I think our second year we went undefeated. And then our last year we're in the final, and we're prepping for that game. And I remember being really nervous, even though I'd done it 2 times. It was just so much pressure for a 17-year-old girl to feel like we're about to make history. We're about to do this, and it's all on me. And, on my blog, there's a great story of Be Unforgettable and how that played into that moment. But overall, overcame some real anxiety and fear, and ended up making history and winning that 3rd provincial championship. And, those 3 years I was at Brookswood molded me as a player so much in my approach to the game and my trust in my coaches and teammates. And, I look back on those memories as some of my best of my entire life.
You talk about that moment of pressure, trying to get the 3rd one, trying to finish it off. What do you think in you allowed you to succeed in that moment?
There was definitely a lot of my preparation set me up to do that. But ultimately, it came down to my support system. It came down to the people around me. My dad as a pillar of kind of the backbone of my basketball, really. Him always grounding me and making sure that like I was thinking in the right mind frame, the right taking the right steps to being successful, the coaches trusting in me and never making me doubt whether or not I was capable of it. And obviously my wonderful teammates who had been with me throughout the whole thing, who really trusted me in those moments too, allowed me to step up, because where I might have had pressure from the outside world in that circle of people, of my teammates and coaches and family, it was super supportive. So I was able to kind of move away from the anxiety and into this close-knit safety net, I guess.
That's such an underrated part of the game, is the pressures of other people wanting you to be something that maybe your role isn't in basketball. Yeah. And then another thing that I thought of as, being in those tough games, like you see game sevens, the shooting is off. But one thing I love about your game is it just seems like your shot is built to be consistent. Like everything about it just seems to be consistent. It's the only, I wish I had a better word for it, because it's not that great of a word. But did you feel that in the pressure of that? Did that affect your shot? How did you not let it affect your shot if it didn't?
We have a really great saying that like we used to say all the time in AAU in high school and in this house, shoot or shoot. And, I think that the biggest part of shooting that people take for granted is the mindset that you have to be willing to take the difficult shots. You have to be willing to trust yourself. And I think that is something that I learned from a young age because of the tutelage I got from my family and that confidence that I built, that even in this last season at NC State, when I started off on a real low for shooting, I couldn't hit anything, but I was still taking 7 to 10 attempts at the three, and I was missing all of them. But trusting in the fact that I've done the work, that this is who I am as a player, this is my job, that I have to keep shooting. And the second I get scared and I'm afraid of shooting, then there's no point in shooting it, because if you don't believe in it, why would you take the shot? So I think that was really the reason why I was able to be successful in those moments, is because shoot or shoot.
That defiance right there. I love that. And that's for life. Like I always told my wife that when she was applying for vet school, it took her 4 times to get in. But I'm like, who cares? You're going to go. Let's keep going. Yeah. All those misses are leading up to a make. It's, yes. And just to have that confidence to do it in life and in basketball, man, you're set up. When you think back to recruiting, when you were getting recruited to NC State, you were only there on a visit for a short time, it sounded like, but yes. What sealed the deal for you?
This always sounds so cheesy when I say it, super corny, but I got there and it was a feeling. It was a feeling of this sounds so bad, destiny. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I am, this is the place I need to go to be successful. And it's hard to even explain unless you've experienced it yourself. Just knowing that this is a culmination of everything that's happening, coming to a point at one moment in your life, and it's right. And I was on campus and we were going around campus, and I remember just sitting there and being like, I don't even need to see the rest. I don't need to talk to anybody. I have this feeling deep in my gut that is telling me that this is where you have to be. And, I tried to fight it. I tried to do my due diligence, write pros and cons, because my other option was Stanford, and do all those things. And it's real hard to turn Stanford down. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I knew exactly where I was supposed to be. And it was an easy decision that I never regretted.
That's such a big decision at a young age. For the people who are in that position now, what advice do you have for them? Because it sucks, because those things that are important in life are those things that you can't explain, like those feelings that you know to be true, but if you had to put it into words why, it's doesn't always add up to the same as the feeling you get.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to like knowing you want to marry somebody. Like you don't really know why, but in a single moment like changes it, you know? So I would say for people in that position to not rush and don't get caught up in the bells and whistles. I mean, I've been on plenty of unofficials and they all did photo shoots. They all did all these things. And, NC State didn't do those things. And ultimately I chose them. So don't get caught up in that starstruck moment of, oh, I'm here. They're taking pictures. It's so exciting. And really trust that, deep down what you need to be successful, and you need to follow those things, even if it isn't the flashiest school, even if it isn't the school you imagine yourself. I mean, Stanford was my dream school growing up, and I turned them down.
Wow.
I mean, you have to find the place that's right for you and trust that you're making the right decision, and then buy in. Because if you don't buy in, it's really easy to hate your experience and regret it. So you have to buy in and trust that you made the right decision. And obviously there's going to be times where maybe you made the wrong decision. But the same thing with transferring. You have to figure out what's important to you, what are the non-negotiables, and then try and make the best decision you can based on your gut feeling.
Preach. That's amazing. I love to hear that. What are you most proud of with your career at NC State? You know, whether we could go on about some more MVP if you want, another championship you put on the mantle, but when you think back on it, like now that it's wrapped, it's what comes to mind?
It was fulfilling the things that I set out to do when I came to NC State. I chose NC State because I wanted to build a legacy, and I wanted to create something that would last. And it's funny because as a goodbye gift to Coach Moore, I printed out a picture of us from Media Day, and it's just a white background for us. And I remember writing the note on the top, and I said, we made a promise to each other when I committed that this is what we were going to do, and we did it. And that is something that, gives me the most pride because, there were ups and downs. I broke my foot. I, didn't play super well. We lost many games we weren't supposed to lose, all these things, but we stuck to it, and we ultimately completed the goal that we set out 4 years before. And to have it come to a head on my very last game of my college career and having all of those things kind of just fall into place in that moment, not even winning it, but being able to say that we stuck to something for 4 years and accomplished it, is what I take the most pride in, I think.
Wow. Is that what you, like, did you have foresight with that as a young person picking your school?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw NC State, well, first of all, this is really funny. When they first recruited me, I didn't know who NC State was. I actually thought they were like a mid-major school. And that's so bad, but forgive me.
That's honest.
Because I was from Canada on the West Coast, and we get zero ACC coverage, zero. Like, I watched the Big 10 and Big 12 maybe a little bit, and maybe the Pac-12 some, but I honestly only remember like having like Michigan games. Like, that's the only thing I remember watching. So I didn't know. And I remember going like, who is this? Because North Carolina, UNC, Duke, Wake Forest, just because of the NBA ties. But I didn't know NC State, and it's so bad. And my dad was like, no, they're like really good. Like, they've been to a Final Four on the, you should know who they are. And I was like, well, great. Like, I had no idea. But when I saw them, Coach Moore was I believe going into his third year as coach. He had a great winning record. He seemed to care a lot about his players, and he had a vision. And I didn't want to go to a school and be another player on a team that was already established and just a footnote in their history. I wanted to be a part of a team that was going to change the way that people saw how they played. So he really sold me on the fact that we're rebuilt. We're not at our peak right now, but we want you to be a part of that. We want you to be a part of the reason why we become the successful team that everybody knows our name. Every household will be talking about us. And he's like, and I think you can be that player. And I just like, that's something I wanted. I wanted to be a part of something that was building and growing and was going to be something big. So maybe they forget me like way down the line. But, when I'm old and gray and somebody goes, and they're talking about NC State, that pride of knowing that I was part of the beginning of that is just something that I wanted from the very beginning. And then obviously we had that goal of winning the ACC together and we did it. So that I really wanted that from the beginning. And that's why I chose NC State.
That's high risk, high reward, but you pulled it off.
I know.
That's huge. And how does that affect your thinking of your next situation? Like, what are you going in, or how are you going into this situation different than you went into your college situation?
I would say it's a little bit different because it's not, I guess it's just different because it's not college. College is like something you commit to for 4 years. Like this is a life-changing decision. Whereas going overseas and playing, it's a 1-year contract. You only sign for 1 year usually. And then you play, and then what happens, you can always switch it up for the next year. If it's not a great place, you can probably switch halfway through the season. So it's a little bit different with that, with the sense of the kind of the structure of it all. But overall, the mindset going into this is kind of the same. I am an underdog again, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the challenge. It keeps me humble. It keeps me working. It makes it so that, I never take for granted the things that I get. So just being able to go, to Switzerland, that's not necessarily the most competitive league, but it's still pretty good. It has kind of that deja vu of I'm about to go and make something great again, and I have to work for it and have to just put my head down and go. And, it's all going to work out in the end because it did this last time. So just keep going.
I love that. That's huge. And what's your thing you're most excited about off the court about going to Switzerland? What do you know about the place? What do you, what are you thinking? What's your mindset?
I am a super adventurous person. So just being able to travel and see all those things. I haven't been to Switzerland before, but I am 4 hours by train away from Paris. I'm 3 hours away from Turin, Italy. I'm like 3 from Germany and like 4 from Austria or 6 from Austria, I think. So and I have family in Austria. So I just think being in such a wonderful place, it's beautiful and close to all those other things, and really getting to dive into my geeky history, my love, getting to explore that and be there is going to be super exciting for me. I mean, I've been to Europe a couple of times, but each time always is different and exciting in its own way.
And I'm sure you're going to dive into the culture like you mentioned there, but there's got to be some things as a Canadian that you bring with you to each place that you probably brought to NC State. Like, what culture things will you be introducing the Switzerland people to?
Ooh, I don't know. I've become such a culmination of all of the places I've lived that it's kind of hard. And Canada as a whole is a very diverse place, so it's kind of hard to have a truly Canadian thing. I can't even imagine. Maybe some of the words I use, I guess, but even that is starting to get messed up because I have a little bit of a southern twang now, I guess. So I think it's just going to I just want to soak up everything when I get there, and maybe not bring a whole lot of stuff with me, but hopefully bring a ton of stuff back.
There you go. Maybe you can bring, you can't bring Vincent the sled, but maybe you could bring a version of that. I saw you working with our guy, Mark Wilkerson. That sled looks cool. to be doing on Instagram, but in real life, it's probably not quite as fun.
Oh no, it's killer. So maybe not Vincent. I told Mark that I should try to like bring my weight vest. I don't want to check it because it's going to cost money. And also I probably can't wear it on the plane. So I have to figure out how to do it, like hide it underneath my clothes or something. But they're going to think I'm wearing like an artillery vest. Like, so I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get it over there, but I'm going to find a way.
And just for a minute, I want to talk about Mark Wilkerson as a player working with him. What can you say about him?
Super high energy, great intensity, pushes you, and expects a lot from you. I mean, he doesn't accept, not being right on the details. And that is something, as a person who really dives into the details, loves those types of things, me and him work really well together because I'm a person who goes, push me until I break. And he goes, all right, let's do it. So like we were out on the field, like you said, and, we're running and I am dog tired. We're chasing tennis balls and stuff. And he's like, well, these last two are going to be shorter. And I yelled at him and I said, no, give me a long one. So he just whipped it out there. Ooh. And I tell you, I finished. I was he's like, one more. And I was like, I'm so tired. But like having somebody who is willing to push me to that point, especially when that's something that I was looking for, is so, and like, I'm priceless to my continued growth as a player.
Man, shout out to him. He's just a blast to be around, and I'm glad I get to be around him as a person and not as someone he's training. I would sorely disappoint him. So we'll keep it all on the podcast. And just to kind of wrap up here, I like to give everyone a moment to tell the people back home hello, give a message to the community that you've already embraced, as far as the Vancouver, the NC State, Switzerland. It's all you, Ace.
Okay, well, whoever's watching, thank you to all the people who have been a part of my amazing journey, whether it was in Canada, at NC State, and who's going to be in my next steps. I mean, you guys are really what makes this easy and what makes it such a pleasure to continue to play the sport. I'm so unbelievably lucky to play a sport for a job, and without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much. And my mom told me I had to do this because it's her birthday. So shout out to my mom. We're not going to say her age. She's like 20. So
25.
25 for sure.
She can rent a car.
Yeah, she's super young still, and she's going to laugh at this, but happy birthday, Mom. And, thank you, Jeremy, for having me on.
Man, it was my pleasure. It was an absolute blast. I can see why you wanted to do the podcast that you do, and I hope you continue to do it in some way. Get a microphone and record it into your phone. There's ways to do it.
I have one right here. I can bring it.
There we go. Bring it. We got to keep this going. And I got to mention your shirt. Is that for sale anywhere? Is that the Ace special?
It is. So I have a friend he runs the Money Tree brand. It's Money Tree brand on Instagram. He also just launched his website, and he is an amazing friend and business partner. He is doing this Ace Konig line. So we have it on vinyl and crew necks and t-shirts, and then we have embroidery as well. I'm going to get it up on my site, acekonig.com, where you can also find my podcasts and my blog. But for now, it's on the Money Tree brand.com, and you can buy it there. And I think we're having a promotion on this weekend, so $3 off the whole order, because I score threes. So
I love that.
But yeah, these can be bought online, and I will get them up on my website soon. So I'll keep everybody posted about when it's on my website off of my social media, which is also really easy. Ace Konig, everything is just Ace Konig.
There we go. It's all easy. Your website is great. I did check it out. It's slick. People don't go to websites all that often anymore, but yours, I was like, all right, this is good. This is, you can't do all that you're doing on there with like an Instagram and stuff. There's things that are on there that are evolved. So go check that out. And again, just thank you for coming on. I look forward to watching your journey. And there we go. Jeremy Mills Podcast.